Alright, hey everybody! It is time for an update on Kefka for people who are interested in Kefka. And I am going to try and keep this video very short, very concise, and to that point, let's go. So, Kefka has been out for at least a good amount of time now to feel like we have a good idea about this character. And for the last little while, I've been checking out some videos. Of course, Peachin is kind of one of my go-tos for checking out. And this is the team that he did a good amount of playthroughs with against multiple different teams, such as Light, Dark, Earth, Fire. He went against Lightning with Resnick, multi-elemental Water, as well as Strike, Rainbow Strike, which is, of course, always fun. But the major thing that he seems to be going for with this is, hey, there was another kind of Energist type user that came out early last year sort of thing. I won't say early last year because that's not true necessarily, but Swimsuit Helena, who is a Thunder Elemental unit who, on reflection, makes a lot of sense in this party because guess what? She is a pretty tanky unit, she's pretty tough, and she kind of blocks water. So here is this team that Peachin has effectively come up with. And okay, this isn't really a strike-based party because Bradley's in here. And I will include the link if you want to go watch Peachin's video, and I recommend you do. But here's the lowdown about Kefka. So this is a party that Peachin has been running, and I would say that this is probably one of the more optimal parties that he could possibly be in, because as I've said, I think he works really well with Roy Mustang because of the synergy of damage types and elements, which works really well. And that Helena, Swimsuit Helena, makes a ton of sense here as well because she can synergize with a lot of VCs that are job VCs, and she actually does provide this party with a good amount of extra protection from its weakness, which is water. So with that being said, this is, I think, a very strong, smart combination together. That being said, if you take a look at the cost of this, we have a 90 cost limited character, a 100 cost limited character, and another 100 cost limited character. What's more, King Bradley's TMR is also on Roy, and also the zombie mask is here. So if you're counting 3 limited characters, 2 limited TMRs that are not from the characters that are on screen right now, including Dark, Ramu, and the Omen VC, and 2 other limited time VCs. In all honesty, this is one of the most expensive parties I've seen in a very long time. It will never fly in a limited cost style system, as it's basically a 290 cost just on characters alone without even getting into the rest of the stuff. But really, in terms of limited, this doesn't work. In terms of expensiveness, this is pretty freaking up there right now. Even Sephiroth with the dark elemental characters, Majin Vina and maybe Ruin Stern are both permanent characters, so you at least only have 1 limited cost character in there. This is insanely high and would require a lot of months of potentially getting this and other VCs, including Global, which is now supposed to be getting a what is it? You guys are getting the Crystal Chronicles VC back, which would probably even be another good addition for this party, maybe. Or if you were just trying to do a fire elemental version of this, even if you cut Helena out of this for Mont, this is incredibly high cost. So is this party good? What is its strengths? What is its weaknesses? And overall, is it basically applicable to Kefka, and how much of a difference does Kefka make in this party? Well, honestly, Kefka, I think, does make a pretty big difference in this party, but not maybe necessarily the way you think. His DPS just isn't that insane kind of thing. Like, his DPS is good, but it's not a lot of the time deciding factor. Kefka really what he brings to this party is status effects, and that is both a benefit and a burden a lot of the time. Kefka has very high chance of getting some of his status effects to also stick, and can be a turning point for the match. As well, if you think about just the fact that he is, like we originally thought, pretty, like he has a good amount of damage resistance on him, so that can make him pretty difficult to just kill off. Yes, Kefka is a valuable addition to this party, and definitely does help this party excel into matchups that it probably should not win most of the time. As for the party itself, like I said, it does have good matchups into quite a few different elements. Earth, even with King Bradley and Queen Mashery, is still relatively strong. Against Dark, it can, again, potentially win. And so, therefore, because of status effects, it actually has some good matchups across multiple different places. That being said, it also has an incredibly glaring flaw in it, which is light or any style of evasion. This party is awful in terms of accuracy, and no matter how, and as soon as you start pumping more accuracy into these characters, you immediately start losing out on other fronts such as DPS and just potentially being able to cleanse the wins that you were already doing. Now, of course, if you're choosing this, however, if you're getting chosen against, it's really easy to beat this team with just a proper evasion team, and I mean basic light evasion from the lock era of stuff. This party does not have good ways of dealing with that, and it will flat out lose and just be able to just be completely unable with dealing it. Even with good amounts of accuracy poured into this, you still don't really have that good of odds of potentially winning, and it can just come down to more of a coin flip. And so here's the thing. Evaluation of this. If you take a look at the overall cost of this, trying to get 100 cost characters, also with a 90 cost character, all up to 140 eventually, with the acquisition of TMRs needed to support them, and the VCs, most at this point, taking a look across this party, half of which are limited cost, and the 90 Esper doesn't exactly help the cause either. It's very clear that this party is incredibly expensive, and I do think that it does kind of feel bad if you are flat out just losing to a type of thing that has been outdated for a little while here. It's not to say that it's bad that it loses to something, it's just that if you were paying this much, spending this many resources, I think you'd want the team to be pretty damn good against everything. Which brings me to my second point, status effects. Kefka really relies on status effects. And again, heavily anti-teching against confusion does a lot to screw this party over in one of the things that makes it so strong. As soon as you have a good amount of confuse protection, it's just not really that impressive anymore, and it can flat out lose. Also, if we're just talking about the benefit that it gets from using like a lightning character, Water and Lightning with Celeste actually still kind of has a pretty good matchup against Lightning, because she can stack lightning resistance fairly easily because of VCs and whatnot. So yeah. Overall, I think that Kefka is a really good unit. I think that he is very true to form of what that character is like. However, that being said, I think that this is just a really good example of like a character that doesn't come super together, that feels like he has a few tricks that are keeping him being relevant, but could really be a bad investment, because if a really good confusion protection just shows up, or you just stack it, he loses a major thing, and his other two characters, really, they're just there for damage. And yeah, well, I still think that Roy is pretty glass cannon-y in a lot of circumstances. Like, you're basically running on speed status effects and hoping that like, it goes your way sort of thing. So yeah, worst matchups are definitely into evasion. Best matchups are anything where it can hit its status effects and really roll over the opponents. But I just think that, in all honesty, if you look at the cost of this, it just might, like, as a JP player right now, super glad I didn't roll on Kefka, because I think his kit is still a little bit awkward and weird together and doesn't quite work. But yeah, now looking at what this is, if I had spent this much resources trying to get all of this stuff ready, and even if a lot of it would still be needed for other potential combinations with this character, I don't think I'd be particularly happy with it. So just my opinion. I'll keep an eye on it for the next few months and see if it develops or if Kefka becomes a real problem. But at any point in time, it feels like if we get to the point where Kefka does become a problem, the devs could probably just release a piece of equipment with confused protection on it, and we'd be back to it not being a problem again. I do think that confused is a really big thing for him in a lot of DPS matchups. So check out the video if you want on Peachin's channel. And one other thing of note, just right here, is that I did want to bring attention to the fact that it seems like the friend unit got changed on JP, because checking it out here, he is running this ability, and now he is running his Garvel 5-turn booster, which has boosted his speed and his magic power. So I guess the people complained about the friend unit not being set up properly. Either that, or has it always been on rotation? Thanks so much for watching. Take care. See you next time.